All right, so we ended on peak, and that's the highest point in the set of graph data. So when you're looking at your data, if you have a dot plot and in the middle you have something that looks like that, then whatever this number is, that's going to be your peak. Okay, so moving on, how do we actually make a box plot now? So step one, you just like whenever you're finding median, you want to order your numbers from least to greatest. Always and forever, this is the first step that you have to do. Order your numbers from least to greatest. If you don't do this, your entire box plot will be incorrect. It will not look like what it's supposed to look like, and you won't get the numbers that you're supposed to get. Okay, so when we're finding a box plot, we're going to find something that's called a 5-number summary. Okay, a 5-number summary. And I'll explain what that is in just a minute. Okay, but moving on to step 2. So once you order your numbers from least to greatest, you then want to find your median, because that's going to separate your data in half. Remember whenever I was talking to you about quartile 1 and quartile 3, how it's the median of your lower half and your upper half? This is how we get the lower half and the upper half. We have to find the median first. So in the graph that they have right here, they've gone through and they've marked out all of their numbers. There's 3, 4, 5, 6, and they ended up with 12 as their median. Now, because I have one number as my median, that basically splits my data in half. Okay, so think about it. If you're in the middle of two people, can you really be on either side? If two people are fighting and you're in the middle of it, can you really be on either one of those two sides? No, because you're right in the middle. So the same thing with this number 12. Number 12 is not going to be a part of either my upper half or my lower half, because it is the middle. Okay, so that number 12 is gone. X-nay, no longer belongs. Okay, so step 3, we want to look at the left side of our median, because that's going to help us find quartile 1. So like I said, this number 12 is my median. It does not belong. And so my lower half of my data is going to be 5, 6, 8, 9, 9, and 12. So now I have to find the median of this data set. So I go through again, I mark out each one until I get to a middle. Well, I have 2 numbers in the middle, which means I have to add those 2 together and find the what of them. Hopefully you said mean. Remember, you have to add those 2 numbers together and then divide by 2, and you should get an answer of 8.5. Okay, also, what's in between 8 and 9? 8.5. Common sense. Cool. So looking at step 4, now we want to look at the right-hand side of our median, because that's going to help us find Q3. So again, this 12 is my median. It does not belong. So I'm only looking at these numbers for my upper half of my data. And once again, I want to find the middle. So I cross them out. And I have 2 14s. Well, if I add 2 14s together, I get 28. And if I divide 28 by 2, I get 14 again. If your 2 numbers are the same, then that means your mean of those numbers are also going to be the same. So that mean would be 14. The last thing you're going to find is your lower extreme and your upper extreme. So we're going to find the min and the max. Well, that should be really easy if you've already ordered your numbers from least to greatest. Your greatest number would be the last one. Your lowest number would be the first one. So 5 and 20 are our lower extremes and our upper extremes. And I'm just going to fill in what we already know, that my quartile 1 is 8.5. 12 is my median. And then 14 is my quartile 3. Okay, so this is what we call our 5-number summary. Your min, your max, Q1, Q2, and Q3. Well, I just named something that you've never heard of before. What is my Q2? Think about everything that I have circled and everything that I have written down. What would my Q2 be? Hopefully you figured out that Q2 is the same thing as your median. That means the same thing. And think about it. It kind of makes sense. If 8.5 is Q1 and 14 is Q3, what's in between Q1 and Q3? 12, which is my median, so that's also Q2.